Good afternoon, everybody. This is a live severe weather briefing, and initially we're going to be focusing in on the northeastern U.S., of course, as those convective bands continue to feed into Tropical Storm Isaias, centered very close to the New York City area this early afternoon, and those convective bands have now moved off to the eastern side of Long Island into portions of New England as well, and it does look like that tornado threat is going to expand off to the northeast. That'll include this region. There is a new tornado watch that has been issued out further in advance of Tropical Storm Isaias as these convective bands right here continue to move off to the east. There is a little bit of a warm nose of air coming in around 700 millibars around this that is acting to temper some of the instability out ahead of Tropical Storm Isaias, but still when you have wind shear as strong as it is ahead of a tropical cyclone like this, it's getting picked up by an upper level trough, by a mid-latitude cyclone. You basically have a tropical system that's slowly transitioning into a mid-latitude cyclone, and these situations here are often the most prolific in terms of producing tornadoes when you take aspects of the mid-latitudes and merge them with the tropics, almost like a storm system that's ejecting in the mid-latitudes, but getting injected by intense tropical moisture and instability. So this is basically like a nor'easter on steroids. You can see that the central pressure is still below 1,000 millibars. You do have a big-time stratiform shield of precipitation with some convection mixed in. Warm rain processes up there with this very tropical soundings in association with Tropical Storm Isaias. So this rainfall accumulates quite rapidly, and that's why there are so many flash flood warnings as well with this system. But the tornado threat, that's the big impact associated with this system right now. There is going to be some damaging winds as well, some coastal flooding here with this onshore flow ahead of the center of Isaias. Definitely during periods of high tide, there's going to be even greater storm surge flooding. But really the tornado threat is the big issue that we're watching so far this morning. I was just tracking a likely waterspout that came ashore near the Southampton area there in the eastern Long Island. You can still see that storm now in southern Connecticut. No longer has a tornado warning now, but it does look like it may have produced near the Southampton area on the eastern tip of Long Island. There's also a confirmed waterspout near the Ocean Beach, New Jersey area, just to the southwest of New York City. That was definitely a pretty large wedge spout that came ashore. A bunch of other reports as well near the Delaware area, down along the Delmarva Peninsula. And there is another supercell storm that's coming ashore here just to the east of East Hampton, eastern tip of Long Island here. You can see a little mini RFD structure that is also developing with this storm. And each of these storms that come in with these convective bands anywhere near and to the east of Tropical Storm Isaias will certainly have tornado potential. Let me load up that velocity imagery here. And there you can see that mesocyclone that is just coming ashore here just to the east of East Hampton on the eastern tip of Long Island. And there are a couple other tornado warnings as well here up in Vermont. So even well into interior New England, they're getting a tornado potential. This area here was warned. This is Wilmington in Vermont in interior New England. We will let that load. There it is. There's that circulation that's heading toward Wilmington. This is in far southern Vermont. There you can see the Bennington area. Here is that border. I believe that is, there's New Hampshire off to the east. This is Massachusetts just to the south. And this is moving to the northwest, this dangerous storm here, headed toward the Manchester, New Hampshire area, moving due northwest at about 50 miles an hour. But that's a very stout mesocyclone with that storm there in southern Vermont. We could look at the high-res reflectivity here. We can even look at this in 3D and pivot that around in the Radar Omega app. I need to boost my internet here at home in my apartment. I've got the base level, but here you can see the supercell structure, certainly with that hook on the backside, cyclonic area of rotation, a little bit of a RFD also apparent, but this storm has strong rotation moving off to the northwest, Manchester center, Vermont. You certainly want to keep an eye on this storm, tornado warned storm moving rapidly off to the northwest at 50 miles an hour. So we're even getting tornado warnings well into interior New England here with this system. There's the Massachusetts border. And now I can break down some of those environments as well. A couple little renegades trying to develop in eastern Massachusetts, but so far 700 millibar temperatures are just a little bit too warm that far east in central and eastern Massachusetts to get those surface-based storms, but a little bit further west, a little closer to this massive stratiform rain shield and wind shield that's off to the north side of that pressure minimum. You could definitely tell that it's transitioning into an extratropical cyclone. You have this massive deformation zone that's beginning to form as the tropical moisture is interacting with that upper support. But this is definitely the most dangerous storm right now. It's up here in southern Vermont, moving off to the northwest, Manchester Center area. You're definitely going to be going to have to watch out for that storm as well. I'm also concerned about this convective line that is moving in to the eastern side of Long Island as well. This convective line prompted a tornado warning that came into the Southampton area just a little bit ago. I do expect that these storms will be continuing to go tornadic as we go through the day and as these propagate eastward toward Rhode Island there eventually as well. And here is the tornado watch that's in effect, including interior New England. This is the new tornado watch. There's still a tornado watch that remains in effect for all of Long Island, back toward the New York City area, northern New Jersey. But I do believe that the tornado potential is beginning to shift off to the northeast with this tornado watch. Portions of interior New England, the whole entire state of Massachusetts is under that tornado watch. Upstate New York, the Albany area, southern Vermont, where that tornado warning is right now. And then off to the east, southern New Hampshire, I do expect that area to light up as well. You can see it's still well ahead of the stabilizing effect of that stratiform rain back to the west. That's where that tornado warning right now is right along the gradient with that stratiform rain to the west, and just enough instability off to the east to get that tornado threat. There is just enough low-level cape out ahead of this system as well. But when you have this strong of wind shear, and the RAP is analyzing effective helicities of 400 to 500 just to the east of the pressure minimum that is Tropical Storm Isaias, and this is the northeastern quadrant of that tropical cyclone. That's where the most favorable wind shear and the most favorable hodographs are located for that tornado potential, and that's sliding off to the east. Right now that convective line is located through eastern Long Island. Here, this is a convective line that does have some transient supercell structures and still could produce some landfalling wedge spouts along the shoreline here from Connecticut, eventually Rhode Island. And as this system continues to shift off to the northeast, the Boston area, eastern Massachusetts is going to be under the gun as well. But there is some warm air that's rotating around the southern side of this system at 700 millibars, and that's trying to work to suppress some of this convection within the convective line. But one thing I've noticed throughout this morning is that this convective line continues to breathe a little bit. Earlier today, there was that landfalling cyclone that came in near Ocean Beach there in northern New Jersey. That's certainly going to be confirmed. It was a wedge-shaped water spout, definitely a supercell water spout as well, that came ashore just ahead of that surface low. Also a cluster of reports down here in northern Delaware, southeastern Pennsylvania, Maryland as well. I saw some pretty extensive damage out there. Power outages in the hundreds of thousands out here as well, with pretty gusty winds as these squalls are ripping around the north side of that pressure minimum that still is analyzed below 1,000 millibars according to the RAP. But it's these convective lines that are moving in this very strongly sheared environment with storm relative helicities in the lowest kilometer or two of 200, 300, 400. And that storm relative helicity increases dramatically once these storms approach the shoreline. It causes those surface winds to weaken just a little bit, ramps up that speed shear, and that's why these things are often producing wedges as they interact with the shoreline with these convective bands. And now looking at the forecast out to about 6 p.m. Eastern time, notice how that low-level wind shear ejects off to the northeast throughout eastern Massachusetts, the southern part of New Hampshire. Even Cape Cod's going to get into the action. I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple tornado warnings in coastal Maine as well from this system. But this is a wrap forecast showing this slug of big-time low-level storm relative helicity lifting off to the northeast with that northeastern quadrant of the surface low. This deformation zone precip is still heavy, dominated by warm rain processes, which is usually when the raindrop size gets really small. You don't have as much coalescence, a lack of hail and frozen hydrometeors up in the storm, so you get more of a uniform small raindrop size, and that leads to some greater rainfall rates and more accumulation of that rainfall, an increase in the flash flood potential as well. And that's exactly what's happening in this slug of rainfall across the higher terrain of the Adirondacks, central and northern Vermont, eventually spreading into central and northern New Hampshire, with these convective lines continuing to spread in across coastal New England. And that's why those tornado watches have been expanded off to the east. Anytime you get 300, 400, 500 meters squared per second squared storm relative helicity, you really don't need much of any cape. And in fact, skinny cape will definitely get the job done. You have very low LCLs out here in these tropical environments. Basically a lack of a capping inversion out here. And anytime these transient supercell structures can get going and tap in to that instability, they quickly go tornadic. And here's a breakdown of the tornado report so far with Isaias. This was overnight last night. You can see that one lone report down near Oak Island. I believe that was, or near the Wilmington area, but there was some extensive damage in Oak Island that could be due to mesovortices or some tornadoes that came ashore, even some house fires out there last night. I saw some debris signatures on radar Omega near the Wilmington area. And then several tornado warnings as well, northeastern North Carolina, coastal Virginia, eastern Maryland, up into the Delmarva Peninsula. And there's also a confirmed tornado that was up in Ocean Beach, and I saw that on video. It was definitely a tornado. I'm not sure if it's caused any damage, but I'm pretty sure that it has. Anytime you get a wedge that comes ashore, it's going to create big problems up there. But these are the tornado warnings. This morning, the northern part of the Delmarva Peninsula, southeastern New Jersey, and then as we went through afternoon, another tornado came ashore near Ocean Beach in the New Jersey area. And I suspect there's going to be many more of these tornadoes confirmed as we go through the days after Isaias. And as I mentioned, I am going to be activating storm chase mode today. So I wanted to also discuss the environment out here in eastern Colorado, where there is a significant hail threat. Looks like hail diameters 2 to 3 inches will certainly be possible with supercell storms moving to the southeast through eastern Colorado. We've got moist easterly flow as well, streaming up into the environment. And here's the surface map here across eastern Colorado this morning. And we've got temperatures rising up to the upper 70s. Dew points you can see mid to upper 50s, streaming northwestward. This 39 ob is wrong. It's likely a 59 dew point out there. This one always runs a bit low near the Yuma, Otis area. But you can see these mid to upper 50s dew points with moist upslope flow. So you've got easterly winds. Lyman has an easterly wind of about 20 knots, gusting up to near 30. And I do expect storms to develop near the Cheyenne area, northern Colorado to the west of Greeley, which is coming in at 83 over 58 so far. So I think there's a decent chance of seeing a tornado across northeastern Colorado here this afternoon, in addition to the very large hail sizes expected this afternoon. So let's see how the instability is shaping up across eastern Colorado. There you can see the enhanced risk and those tornado watches across the northeast associated with Tropical Storm Isaias out there. And here's the large slight risk across all of eastern Colorado, southeastern Wyoming, also into western Nebraska. That's the mode that I'm going to be chasing this afternoon, eastern Colorado. I'll be streaming live. A bit of a lee cyclone developing here as well. Instability, I bet, is increasing. Already you got about 2,500 surface-based cape analyzed here. Convective inhibition is beginning to erode. You've got less than 100 convective inhibition now across northeastern Colorado. And look as you step forward to about 3 to 4 o'clock mountain time. You get a monster supercell up there forming to the east of Cheyenne, one down near the Greeley area, and those will be moving southeast and could potentially impact the Denver area with some very large destructive hail. Eventually settling down in near the I-70 corridor near Lyman as well, Deer Trail areas. But the wrap definitely has a good handle on this. About 2 to 3 p.m., convective initiation up near Wellington, up to the north of Laramie, Wyoming, with those moist easterlies and that cap eroding. And the greatest instability, as you can see, is there in northeastern Colorado. That's at 20 Z when those storms will begin to develop off the higher terrain. So here in the next few hours, I do expect those storms to initiate well to the north of Denver. Also some storms initiating off the Palmer Divide down near Colorado Springs. Those will track off to the east-southeast, probably to the south of the I-70 corridor, also producing some very large hail. And the wrap also has some pretty big severe storms down into northeastern New Mexico, southeastern Colorado. But down there you have a little bit more of a mixed environment. Surface winds are more out of the due south rather than the easterlies that we're getting up here in association with that Lee cyclone that's forming. And of course we can look at the HRRR model as well out here. Latest one, we'll look at the 17Z. It's kind of one of my favorites. No reason in particular, just seems to have done better for me over time. Here's that Lee cyclone near the Denver area. Moist easterlies as well happening. And I usually don't like using the HRRR for high plains insanity, but we'll do it here just for consistency. And consistent with the wrap, the HRRR fires these storms up near the Wyoming-Colorado border, also out near the Laramie area, but it looks like a monster storm to the north of Fort Collins, south of Cheyenne, and this is going to turn southeast and move through northeastern Colorado, Weld County, Greeley area. Another storm develops off the Palmer Divide down to the south. The HRRR has a tendency to maintain the storms off to the north in northeastern Colorado and weaken the storms off to the south as they likely pass to the south of that differential heating boundary and are more in those due southerlies. Higher cloud bases out here, higher temperature dew point spreads also across southeastern Colorado. But it does have the HRRR, of course, does reinvigorate those hail producers near the Denver area, out near the Denver International Airport at around 6 p.m. Sometimes that'll happen. These initial storms will go up, they'll die out a little bit. There'll be some increase in the moisture up against the foothills, and then you'll get a bit of a reinvigoration of those severe storms near downtown Denver, the I-70 corridor, out near the Denver International Airport. But these are going to be some big-time hail producers as well. Let's, just for fun, look at a forecast photograph here. And not the best cyclonic shape to this photograph. You do have deep easterlies, though, up in the lowest 2 kilometers. And then these weird northerlies that are happening there. That's likely why you get a reinvigoration of that convection near 0Z, forming more due to outflow from these storms that probably collapse in northeastern Colorado. But the photographs are a pretty straight line. I'll get rid of my face here real quick so you guys can see these photographs. There we go. So you can see those straight line photographs that are at least depicted by the HRRR. That should favor splitting supercells with equal emphasis with the left split versus the right split. If you have a cyclonic shape to that photograph, then the right mover is more favored because there's more storm relative wind shear available to that right moving storm motion. But when you have a straight line photograph like this, often those supercells will split and the left mover will dominate, the right mover will also dominate. You can see though, the temperature dew point spreads are 35 degrees as depicted by the HRRR. That's probably a little bit higher than what they're going to be in reality. Out there, the HRRR does have a tendency to do that out here in Colorado. But really, I'm just trying to use the HRRR as a tool to see which area in general it favors. Northeastern Colorado or southeastern Wyoming, or off the Palmer Divide, down here near Raton Mesa. And it looks to me like the HRRR likes to favor this northern mode off into northeastern Colorado, even southeastern Wyoming off the Laramie Range. But because of those high dew point spreads, the straight line photographs, it really doesn't have a right mover that dominates up there. This is the initial wave of convection, then another wave forms along the I-70 corridor in association with outflow from these collapsing storms. But it definitely looks like it's worthy of a slight risk. Let's see what the NAM model shows for this area. That's 0Z. The NAM also has a tendency to favor the northern Colorado zone. Dew points holding here into the upper 50s across northeastern Colorado. Mixing out, though, a little bit to the east of the Palmer Divide. Could have a tendency to weaken the severe weather threat with any of those that form off the Palmer Divide and try to move toward the Lyman area. But it looks like the greatest dew points here are across northeastern Colorado, up to the higher terrain, maybe even southeastern Wyoming, as depicted by the NAM. And just for fun, looking at a hodograph. A little bit better of a shape here for a due south mover at about 20 knots with this hodograph, but still not incredible. You've got 30-degree dew point spreads, easterlies to the lowest 2 kilometers. So that's why this is looking much more like a large hail, hail maker here in eastern Colorado, but definitely worth chasing still. So now let's go back to the northeast, back on radar Omega. We've got another tornado warning. This one is just to the south of the Hartford area. This is the same one that came ashore in eastern Long Island near the Southampton area. It has gotten reinvigorated just a bit as it's heading directly toward the Hartford area. So if you live in Hartford, central Connecticut, you definitely want to keep an eye on this storm. A bit of a rear flank downdraft structure, as can be seen there. We can also look at this in 3D. Kind of a low-topped, the supercells out here are pretty low-topped. You've got a lot of skinny cape, but still when you get these mesocyclones, the tops are higher with this storm as compared to the convection around it. And that's because the cyclonic rotation of that mesocyclone enhances the updraft speed associated with it. So using echotops is really a great way to assess the intensity of these storms. This is just basic reflectivity, showing how high that reflectivity is going up into the storm. These are the echotops, and look at how low topped these things are. Definitely classic tropical cyclone tornadoes in the outer bands, moving off to the north-northwest. Very low topped, strongly sheared storm here. And it looks like we now have a tornado warning that has been issued for Hartford. So this is on the Radar Omega app here. That tornado warning has been expanded to the northwest, including downtown Hartford area. There is the cell just to the east of New Britain right now. And this is moving to the northwest at 50 miles an hour. So it's moving very fast. Right now that circulation is just to the northeast of the Cromwell area, moving to the northwest at about 50 miles an hour. So I expect this thing to be in Hartford here in the next 20 minutes or so. So you should be taking shelter in Hartford. Get away from those windows, interior room or closet. Get inside of a bathtub if you don't have a basement, but really being below ground is the best place to be. And these storms have shown that they're capable of producing even strong tornadoes with wind shear of 300, 400, 500 in the lowest kilometer or two. Storm relative helicity, even with these north-northwest movers in the northeastern quadrant of Isaias. We've already seen what these storms are capable of doing. Let's see where the velocity is located. And I'm using New York City radar, so we're going to shift on over to Hartford. Internet's a little bit slow. Yeah, this is the radar site right there. Trying to get a better view of this thing. But really, this is probably the best look at this storm. There you can see that convective band streaming over the very eastern tip of Long Island. I believe that's Montauk Point, coming into southeastern Connecticut. Watch these storms also. These have tornado potential. These are little supercell storms. Probably have some water spouts, but these are approaching the New London area any minute with this convective line. These storms are also rotating pretty substantially. You can just see even by the shapes of their reflectivity that these are coming to the northwest and likely do have wedge spouts, or at least the potential of producing water spouts. You can see all these little areas of rotation out here. The ones that come ashore with the really robust mesocyclones are pretty obvious. And this is probably more due to a safety warning out there in Connecticut and heading up toward Hartford. Storm capable of producing a tornado located over Cromwell, moving north at 65 miles an hour. So that was as of 2:58 Eastern Time. Radar indicated rotation, but it is a very compact storm, so it is difficult to really see just how stout that mesocyclone is. It's going to pass, it looks like, to the southwest of Glastonbury, and this thing is heading straight for Hartford. You can see the upper level winds are taking the precipitation off to the north. The mesocyclone's off on the southern flank of this storm, probably right in this region, just to the southwest of Glastonbury. And the storm is so compact, it's even difficult to see exactly where that rotation is located. It's right about in this region. Just to the southwest of Glastonbury, moving off to the northwest toward the Hartford area. And it's these convective bands down here that really have me concerned now. These are down near the New London area, on the west side of New London. This is a classic bean-shaped supercell structure, as you can see there, just to the east of Niantic, right near the coastline of southern Connecticut. That's a very dangerous storm that does have waterspout potential. And then look at this one just offshore, just to the east of the eastern tip of Long Island. This is a big-time hook-like appendage. This storm's moving off to the north-northwest, also at 60 miles an hour. And those dominant right movers will be moving almost due north, and then these supercells will be sliding off to the northwest, and then as they develop those intense mesocyclones, it causes them to turn almost due north when they're producing those tornadoes. So this cluster right here, moving into southeastern Connecticut, is the most dangerous of any of the storms right now. But also this storm coming into Hartford has a tornado warning. Definitely expect some gusty winds with this storm. This one came ashore down near Southampton, down in the eastern tip of Long Island, passed over Long Island Sound into southern, and now it's into central Connecticut. Long track supercell there coming into Hartford. You might even see a wall cloud if you're looking south, out of the south side of Hartford. This cluster of supercells coming into southeastern Connecticut, also quite dangerous. Potential of maybe a bounded weak echo region starting to form as this thing's coming ashore near the New London area. But right now we do have the one tornado warning in Hartford. Now we've got a tornado warning western New Hampshire there under the gun. Good heavens me. There was a special marine warning issued for that convective line. There's that circulation in western New Hampshire. That's just to the southeast of the Claremont area near Unity. But I believe that stronger circulation is approaching Claremont. So these low top supercells, and you get a little bit further away from the radar, are difficult to resolve. So it looks like you've got a couple of different storms. One near Claremont, that's definitely a bean-shaped supercell, compact low top supercell. So there's definitely some rotation near the Claremont area. And then also this supercell down near Lempster also has potential of producing a tornado. So you've got a couple different storms in this warning area, one near Claremont and the other one to the southeast of Unity. If you're in Unity or even Newport, in case this storm turns off to the right, this southern one, in the southern end of the watch, as that turns off to the north toward the Newport area, that could also become quite a bit of a problem. And that's the strongest rotation right now, is in the southern portion of that warning area to the southeast of Unity, New Hampshire. That's heading up toward Newport. Also some rotation associated with that storm in the northern part of that warning up near Claremont. I'm keeping a close eye on. So definitely these storms pop up very quickly. A couple other ones that are starting to rotate down in southern New Hampshire. So I expect there to be quite a few tornado warnings that are issued down here in southern New Hampshire with this clean environment, clean of the stratiform precipitation out there. Off to the west, you can see a lot of this stratiform and pseudo-convective-like precipitation, but a solid shield. Very heavy rain falling across Albany there, western Massachusetts, moving into southern Vermont. The tornado warning in southern Vermont has been dropped, even though you can still see some supercell structures. Just a little bit of a decrease in the 3-kilometer cape out here to the west. But there is a lot of 3-kilometer cape now in southern New Hampshire. You can see that it's void of those radar echoes off to the east near the Concord and Manchester area, down through eastern Massachusetts. I wouldn't be surprised if these cells down into southern New Hampshire will intensify and develop mesocyclones. This one that was formerly tornado warned in southern Vermont still could go tornado warned again. But right now we've got this one to the southeast of Unity, New Hampshire that's warned. Hartford has a tornado warning still in effect. Sometimes you have to bounce around the radars a little bit to really see inside these storms. I wonder if Hartford is really dying out as it's coming into downtown. Looks like it's right over downtown Hartford right now. This cluster of storms down in southeastern Connecticut look a little bit more formidable, but they're clustered together a bit. Not as much in the way of clean inflow with those storms. I'm going to take a look at the environment up here once again. Get some of that cape, low-level cape. Ooh, yeah, look at that. So here's what we're looking at, the latest RAP analyzed surface-based cape. And notice this slug of instability coming into southern New Hampshire. That's the tornado-warned storm. That's near the Unity area. You've got easterly, if not east-northeasterly winds. It looks like some type of a pseudo-warm front is setting up here across southern New Hampshire. And look at the instability too across eastern Massachusetts. You've got 1,000 cape there, streaming in with southeasterlies. Pseudo-warm front coming in here and into southern New Hampshire. And that's why the tornado threat is so great with this convective, massive convection that's moving into southern New Hampshire from north-central Massachusetts there. And here's the other convective line streaming into southeastern Connecticut. But you can see how most of the instability is well to the east of this precipitation shield. You've got mainly northeasterly winds back in a deformation zone type of a feature. You've got the center of Isaias back near the New York City area. And an instability axis out ahead of it. And this is why that tornado watch is in effect here. You can see that the Cape is co-located with those areas where there's not a lot of stratiform rain. So where the rain is relatively clear, that's where the tornado threat exists, where you can get clean inflow. Just a little bit of low-level Cape is all you need with these low LCLs, tropical soundings out here. So really all of central eastern Massachusetts, southern New Hampshire, Rhode Island, eastern Connecticut, those are the areas that are going to be under the gun for that tornado threat over the next hour or two. So we've got this convective cluster in southeastern Connecticut. We've got the tornado warned storm in southern New Hampshire. These are a little bit too clustered together, so just a little bit of outflow that they're able to produce. So these tropical soundings are disrupting the inflow just a little bit. We've still got this tornado warning for Hartford as that storm is weakening. It's over the north side of Hartford right now. Still though, you can see that flying V configuration. This radar, Boston is scanning up pretty high up in this low-topped supercell, but you can still see that flying eagle configuration there with that storm that is now just over the north side of Hartford, lifting off to the north at about 60 miles an hour. And now let's shimmy off to the north. And notice how these are starting to intensify, these storms. These are the most dangerous right now, just to the east of Springfield, Vermont. This is in the western side of New Hampshire, right over Unity. If you're in Unity, New Hampshire, you want to be taking shelter. This is a dangerous storm. You've also got supercells that are organizing off to the south of it, down into southern New Hampshire, even northern Massachusetts, north central Massachusetts up near Fitchburg, Gardner. Those storms are starting to intensify as well, keeping a close eye on these. And I suspect that these will develop tornado warnings as well as they mature and move off to the north. This environment centered across southern New Hampshire, Concord, Manchester, Lowell, northeastern Massachusetts is unstable and ripe, very strongly sheared, so definitely ripe for that tornado potential. Let's see if we can see this mesocyclone a little bit better as it continues to mature. That just looks horrible. But you can see some of these mesocyclones that are beginning to develop off to the south. There's the rotation just to the southeast of Unity. So that's where that tornado is located, and it's moving off to the north-northwest or due north. But tornado likely between Unity and Leominster, New Hampshire. Time right now is about 3:14 Eastern time. This is wind away from the radar there since I'm using Albany. But those little pops in the RFD are certainly apparent, even in on distant radars. And that's why this thing has a tornado warning lifting off to the northeast. Let's read the new tornado warning here. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado 7 miles southwest of Newport, 8 miles southeast of Claremont, moving northwest at 35 miles an hour. Radar indicated this storm will be near Charlestown at around 3:15 Eastern time, Claremont around 3:30. So that's that new tornado warning that has been issued there. So that's the one that I'm watching most closely here, just to the southeast of Unity. It is heading up toward Claremont eventually, but this is probably the most dangerous storm in the entire country here in New England. Another tornado warning down near the Hartford area as well. This one's really dying out. That storm that prompted the tornado warning for Hartford is now well north of Hartford, beginning to weaken. That rotation is starting to decrease. This cluster over eastern Connecticut is not looking quite as favorable. But really the most favorable area right now is that area we just looked at. Southern New Hampshire, central and eastern Massachusetts, Rhode Island, show you this zone again. As analyzed by the RAP, you can see almost a pseudo warm front out there in southern New Hampshire, central and eastern Massachusetts. The system was shaped a little bit more favorably earlier today, late morning into early afternoon, over portions of the Mid-Atlantic, New Jersey as well for that tornado threat. There is a little bit of warm air coming in to New England right now, but this area, southern New Hampshire, central and eastern Massachusetts, Rhode Island, northeastern Connecticut, those are definitely the areas to watch for that near-term tornado threat. So thank you everybody for joining me on this weather report. I'm going to continue these throughout this afternoon. And as I activate storm chase mode, I'll be going live as well as I chase through eastern Colorado. Thank you, everybody. Stay safe out there ahead of this thing. And hunker down. Hopefully those that are without power get restored soon. And I'll continue to break down the severe weather situation in the Northeast. Thank you. Never stop chasing.